How to break free from spoken curses. Words can be weapons, but truth is the blade. You'll never amount to anything. You're just like your father. No one will ever love someone like you. You don't have what it takes. Words hold power not through supernatural magic, but through their ability to lodge in our psyches, shape our self-perception, and become self-fulfilling prophecies. These spoken curses, declarations that limit our potential, deny our worth, or predict our failure, can haunt us for decades, dictating our choices long after the speaker has exited our lives. Yet understanding the mechanism of these verbal weapons provides the key to dismantling their power. The truth functions as both shield and sword in breaking free from the invisible chains of spoken curses. The neuroscience of spoken curses. Though we might dismiss the idea of curses as superstition, modern neuroscience confirms their psychological reality. When emotionally charged words are directed at us, especially during childhood, when our neural pathways are most malleable, they can create lasting impacts through several mechanisms. 1. Neural embedding. Emotionally traumatic verbal experiences activate the amygdala, triggering stress responses that encode these memories more deeply than neutral experiences. 2. Identity formation. Repeated messages become integrated into our self-concept, creating what psychologists call core beliefs, deeply held convictions about who we are that operate largely outside conscious awareness. 3. Cognitive filters. Once established, these negative beliefs function as filters through which we interpret reality, causing us to notice evidence that confirms the curse while overlooking contradictory information. 4. Behavioral manifestation. These beliefs then influence our behavior, creating self-fulfilling prophecies as we unconsciously act in ways that validate the original curse. This explains why simply being told "don't believe that" rarely works. The curse operates below the threshold of conscious reasoning, requiring deeper intervention to dissolve its power. Common sources of spoken curses. Spoken curses typically originate from 5 main sources. 1. Family programming. The most powerful curses often come from parents, siblings, and extended family, whose words carry amplified authority during our formative years. These can be explicit "you're the problem in this family," or implied through consistent patterns of communication. 2. Educational wounding. Teachers and educational authorities can deliver curses that specifically target our intellectual abilities or creative potential. "You're just not a math person," or "don't quit your day job after a creative effort." 3. Religious, spiritual authorities. When mixed with divine authority, spoken limitations can take on cosmic significance. "God is punishing you because ... double quotes, or "your karma is damaged because ... 4. Cultural programming. Society delivers collective curses through media, advertising, and cultural narratives based on gender, race, class, body type, and countless other categorizations. 5. Self-inflicted curses. Perhaps most insidious are the curses we speak over ourselves, often recycling external messages until we become our own worst critics and limiters. 7 signs you're under the influence of a spoken curse. 1. Persistent negative self-talk that uses specific phrases or ideas you can trace to external sources. 2. Triggering disproportionate to situations where criticism resembles original curse wording. 3. Inexplicable resistance to pursuing certain goals despite logical benefits. 4. Patterned repetition in relationships or career setbacks that follow a predictable script. 5. Identity statements beginning with "I am" that limit rather than expand possibilities. 6. Compulsive behaviors to disprove the curse that paradoxically reinforce it. 7. Emotional flooding when confronting specific topics related to the curse content. Breaking free, the truth as the ultimate weapon. Liberation from spoken curses isn't about positive thinking or simple denial, it's about wielding truth with surgical precision. Truth operates as both the diagnostic tool and the healing agent in this process. Step 1. Excavation. Identify the curse. Begin by excavating the specific language of curses operating in your life. Journal about recurring negative self-beliefs. Note when you feel inexplicably limited or blocked. Pay attention to trigger phrases that cause emotional flooding. Examine where you consistently feel shame or inadequacy. For each identified pattern, ask, "Whose voice is this really? And when did I first hear this message?" Step 2. Examination. Expose the lie. Once identified, subject each curse to rigorous examination. What evidence exists that contradicts this statement? What was the emotional state, agenda of the person who delivered this message? What would I say to someone else who believed this about themselves? How might my life be different if I had never heard these words? This examination creates cognitive distance between you and the curse, beginning the process of disidentification. Step 3. Extraction. Remove the emotional charge. Spoken curses derive power from their emotional charge. Techniques to neutralize this charge include somatic releasing, physical practices that release stored emotional energy connected to the curse. Conscious verbalization, speaking the curse aloud in a safe environment to diminish its subconscious power. Timeline reimagining, visualizing returning to the moment of the curse with your adult perspective. Letter writing, crafting and send letters to curse givers expressing your truth about the experience. Step 4. Reformation. Rewrite the neural pathways. With the emotional charge diminished, begin the process of rewiring. Create counterstatements that specifically address the curse's claims. Develop evidence-gathering practices that systematically disprove the curse. Establish environmental cues that trigger the new truth when old patterns emerge. Build relationships that naturally contradict the curse's central claims. Step 5. Integration. Embody the new truth. Finally, move from intellectual understanding to embodied knowing. Develop practices that physically anchor new beliefs in somatic experience. Create rituals that symbolically represent your liberation from the curse. Engage in progressive challenges that directly confront curse-based limitations. Become a source of liberation for others struggling with similar curses, from cursed to blessing, transmuting poison into medicine. The ultimate transformation occurs when former curses become sources of unique insight and compassion. The same sensitivity that made you vulnerable to these words can become extraordinary perception once liberated from their distortion. Many healers, teachers, and creators find that their greatest gifts emerge precisely from areas where they've broken free from spoken curses. The wound becomes the opening through which authentic power flows. This transformation isn't quick or easy. It's a journey that requires courage, persistence, and often appropriate support. But unlike magical thinking that seeks instant solutions, this approach creates lasting change by addressing the root mechanism through which spoken curses operate. Remember, words can indeed be weapons, but truth is the blade that cuts through illusion. And in that cutting through, we discover not just freedom from limitation, but the authentic self that was present all along, waiting beyond the veil of others' projections.